pleasure and an honor to be talking to you today. In those exceptional times, it's really good that we have the technology that allows us to reach out and talk to each other and relate to each other. In those exceptional times, the workplace should adapt. We should try methodologies that are not ordinary to be able to continue and prosper as businesses and to be able to be happy, healthy, and prosperous as employees in the organizations we work in, as partners in the businesses we work in. My thesis today is from mercenaries to patriots. A mercenary is someone who works for money and money only. And when times get tough, escape and run away. While a patriot is somebody who would even give their life for the cause they believe in. That's the difference between fear or greed and passion, faith in what you're working in. My name is Roland Abu Yunus. I'm a coach and a technology entrepreneur. My background you can find on this slide. You can also find it on my LinkedIn profile. I won't talk much about myself. The presentation is around 15 minutes, so I'll get straight to it. Just to give a very brief background, so you'd know why I'm talking to you about this. I have 10 years of experience in management of technology organizations. I help organizations make their workplace motivational and positive for their employees. I help organizations design products that fit what they need and that are simple enough to deliver what they need. In addition to that, I help them build the teams that are going to build those solutions. And I help those teams build the right attitude, the right methodology to keep on maintaining and thriving as core elements of those organizations. Fear versus being motivated. When you're afraid, much of your concentration, of your power, of your ability goes to focusing about what you're afraid of, all the targets you want to avoid. While motivation sets you on a path that gets you driven, that gets you happy, that gets you able to deliver. So it's not only in the best interest of the organizations, it's also in the best interest of the individuals. And people who are motivated by default, their subconscious mind is aligned with where they want to go. While people who are afraid, their subconscious mind is aligned with all the targets they want to avoid. And that's where all the energy goes. That's where all the focus goes. This power that motivation gives us, if organizations use it, if organizations spend time to understand it, they will both have a better experience, more productive workplaces, and more happy employees that would become partners in the organization, that would become those people that care for the organization, that will be next to the business when the business needs them. That being said, data says that in 2014, 13% of employees worldwide showed to be engaged in their jobs. This was the survey done by Gallup in 2014. I don't think much changed till today. Probably it moved a few dots up or a few dots down. Not much changed. This means the remaining employees are not motivated. This means the remaining employees have a lot of energy they can give happily, but they're not being able to, because they're not being enabled to do that. They're not given the tools or the work environment that engages them, that makes them happy to deliver. Part of those statistics came a clear focus, and this understanding, if you want to, came a clear focus in businesses to understand the irrational behavior of humans, us, to understand our ego, our emotions, and how our ego and emotions drive our behavior. And then to make sure we're doing something practical and we're not talking only theories, we went all the way in the study of neuroeconomics to understand how the hormones in the human body behave and how they trigger our behavior. Where to find those motivated individuals to study their behavior and actually try to replicate it in the workplace other than in video games. If you know someone, or if you are a gamer yourself, you know that video games are not easy. They're hard. There's skill that needs to be developed. There's time that needs to be put into it. But you don't find people having the issue of needing someone to come and tell them, play your video game. How much time did you spend on your video game today? You have to do video games from 8 till 5. Nobody does that. For a simple reason. Well, not so simple. For multiple reasons. So we went into the study of video games to understand what successful video games have, so we can try to replicate it in the workplace. To create this same immersive, engaging experience in the workplace that motivates us to move forward and to actually be happy in our job and be more productive. One of those traits that you find in successful video games is there's a lot of focus on small tasks. Tasks where you do something and then you do it again and then you do it again and then you do it again. Hard work. This triggers endorphin in the human body. Now, what is endorphin? Endorphin is that hormone that historically, when we were hunters and gatherers, when we went hunting and we walked a lot and we got tired, the next day we felt super motivated to go and start again. Why? Because that pain we felt in the muscles, our brain, to reward us, released endorphins. Endorphins are hormones that make us feel good, that make us want to do more of that hard work we did, if it's leading us in the direction we need to go. Now, how does our brain know that those tasks, how does our brain motivate hard work for a purpose, hard work that brings us closer to our objective? Dopamine. Dopamine is this hormone that takes those small tasks that you do and looks at them as a whole, looks at them as a path to something. You're running on that hunt, or if you're a vegetarian, going for that field where you can find the nutrition you're looking for. And as you get closer to that tree, or as you get closer to that target you're hunting, every time you get closer, a little bit closer, dopamine fires in your body. And it gives you this positive, beautiful feeling. This is the feeling you get when you have a checklist and you scratch off a task off of that checklist. It feels good. Have you ever been going to do things on your checklist and then you discovered that there's something else you can do that's not on your checklist? You did it, and after you did it, you found yourself writing it on the checklist and scratching it off. I do that. Don't be shy to admit it. Many of us do. And it feels good because it releases dopamine in the blood. And we want that. We want that positive feeling. Now, that being done in video games, they start with small tasks, they connect them in a bigger mission, and then there's two other elements to those games that are social. Two other elements to those video games that make them more appealing, and that's the interaction with others, the ranking. I'm comparing myself to others to know who's stronger than me. Who can I go ask for help when I need help? And who can I help who's not developed as much as I am, so I can go help them? And that thing, that social ranking, that knowing where you are in the hierarchy, in the organization you're in, it doesn't have to be just a pyramid, top to bottom. It can be a hierarchy in one field that you're on the top of, and a hierarchy in another field that you're in the middle of, and another where you're barely starting. The fact that you know where you sit in that ranking, the fact that you know who's there to help you when you need them, the fact that you know who you can help, that ranking, the fact that you know where you stand in that structure in the workplace, it gives you certainty, and that certainty reflects in your body with serotonin. And serotonin is a form of reward that tells you, that's good. Keep up the good work, keep up that social connection. Take care of that structure where somebody can protect you, where you can protect others. And this is how serotonin works. Now, the last piece of this puzzle, and this the serotonin in video games, is where you know the ranking of your ranking versus other people's ranking in the game, who you can ask for help. And this is very, very motivating. Now, the next bit of it is oxytocin. Oxytocin's main objective is to maximize social bonding, to allow for you as an individual to see another individual who needs your help and go there and deliver that help. What does that do? How does that work in the body? Why does oxytocin work in this? I'll take an example. A colleague is walking in front of you. He drops a paper or drops some tool. You picked it up and gave it to them. They didn't know that they dropped it. Their face lights up. They're very happy that you helped them. You're happy that you helped them. You feel good. Somebody else watching this interaction also feels happy. It's like you've restored their faith in humanity. And what does that they feel happy means? That means oxytocin is being released in the body to make you feel happy, to make all three of you feel happy, or everybody who was engaged in that interaction feel happy. That motivates for that social bonding and makes people work better. Now, how do we implement that at work? Since we've highlighted it, there's a methodology called Scrum. I would advise all of you to read about it. How does Scrum work? You start with a backlog, a list of tasks that need to be done. You don't detail it too much. You pick up just enough tasks for your team to work on for 2 to 4 weeks. And then you detail those and you make sure they're clear and they're clearly organized in which order they're gonna go. Then you pick up the first task and you run iterations of 2 to 4 weeks that we call sprints, in which you take the first task and all the team contributes to deliver this task, to get this task through, with the objective to finish all the tasks that you have in your sprint backlog until the end of those 2 to 4 weeks. You define the iteration, you define the sprint to either 2 or 3 or 4 weeks. And right after this, whoever is your customer should get those actions done, should get things that they can use, should get value from what you've delivered. And that's the beauty of it. Now, how do you, this keeps the glue on long term, right? This is the checklist, the tasks that need to be done for a certain sprint. That's what we talked about with dopamine. Now, how does endorphins work? Endorphins work with the day-to-day, daily stand-up. That's where you come every morning and you tell your other colleagues, what have you worked on since the last meeting? What will you finish? What have you finished since the last meeting? What will you finish till the next meeting? And what do you need help with? In other words, you say to everybody around you what you have contributed. You have those small tasks that you're finishing. You have that recognition that you're constructive to the team, and you have that request for help where you need it. That's already endorphin for finishing your task, dopamine for seeing your target closer to the end of your sprint, serotonin for being somebody who's contributing to your team, and oxytocin for being there to help your colleagues when they need help, and for asking for help when you need help. Seems to be a very simple formula. It brings value faster to the customer, it brings value faster to your team, and it shows you the targets that you want to achieve. On this note, I will ask you to do your research, and if you need any advice, any explanation, any help with this methodology, please feel free to reach out. I would be more than willing to help. My name is Roland Abu Yunus, and I'm glad to be with you today. Have an awesome day.